Something just happened in Jerusalem that almost nobody's talking about. No headlines. No breaking news. But if you understand biblical prophecy, you can feel it. The ancient clock just started ticking again. Jerusalem isn't just another city. It's the prophetic clock of human history. And after 2,000 years of silence, it's moving again. The prophet Daniel wrote about 70 weeks prophetic time periods that would determine Israel's destiny. 69 of them already happened, leading up to Christ's sacrifice. But 1 week remains. 7 final years. And that countdown can't begin until certain events happen: a peace treaty, and a temple rebuilt in Jerusalem. This isn't politics. This is prophecy coming alive. Before we continue, please like this video if you want to spread God's truth. Let's continue. To understand what's happening now, go back to 1967. For nearly 2,000 years, Jerusalem was controlled by foreign empires. Jesus himself predicted this in Luke 21. Jerusalem will be trampled by non-Jews until their time is complete. That prophecy sat paused for centuries. Until June 1967. The Six-Day War. When Israeli soldiers reached the Western Wall, something prophetic happened. For the first time since 70 AD, Jerusalem was back in Jewish hands. The prophetic clock that had been frozen just restarted. From that moment, everything accelerated. Jews returning from exile worldwide. Hebrew language revived. Ancient ruins rebuilt. But the biggest piece was still missing: the temple itself. Here's what's wild. In Jerusalem right now, there's an organization called the Temple Institute. For decades, they've been recreating every sacred object from the ancient temple. The golden menorah, the priestly robes, the altar of sacrifice, all built to exact biblical specifications. And the priests? They're training right now. Descendants of Aaron identified through DNA, learning ceremonies that haven't been performed in 2,000 years. But for centuries, one obstacle stopped everything: the red heifer. According to Numbers 19, you can't purify the temple without the ashes of a perfect red cow. For 2,000 years, this animal basically didn't exist. Until 2022. 5 perfect red heifers were brought to Israel from Texas. The final piece of a 2,000-year puzzle just fell into place. Everything is ready. The objects. The priests. The red heifers. This isn't theory anymore. It's preparation in real time. But here's the disturbing part. The same prophets who predicted the temple's return also warned it would become a stage for the greatest deception in history. Paul wrote that a man will rise who will sit in God's temple proclaiming himself to be God. This is the Antichrist, the deceiver Daniel warned about. Here's the timeline. A peace treaty gets signed with multiple nations. The world celebrates. Finally, peace in the Middle East. But 3.5 years in, that peace shatters. And this man walks into the temple and declares himself God. The terrifying part? The world will welcome him. He won't come as a tyrant, he'll come as a savior. Speaking of hope, unity, and peace. Performing miracles. And billions will worship him. The deception won't be forced. It'll be chosen. Because humanity will crave peace more than truth. While this spiritual deception is being prepared, military alliances are forming exactly as the prophets predicted. Ezekiel wrote about Gog and Magog, a coalition of nations from the far north that would come against Israel in the last days. Look at a map. North of Israel, Russia, stationed in Syria. Iran building alliances with Moscow and Turkey. Weapons flowing. Treaties forming. The exact coalition Ezekiel described is taking shape right now. Even the UN reflects this tension. Endless debates over Jerusalem. But the city remains what Zechariah called it, an immovable stone that hurts anyone who tries to move it. The pieces aren't moving into position. They're already there. But there's another empire rising. One that doesn't need armies, just systems. John wrote in Revelation about a mark that would control all buying and selling. In his day, that sounded impossible. How could anyone control all commerce? But today, it's becoming infrastructure. Cash is disappearing. Digital currencies controlled by central banks are rolling out. Every transaction recorded. Every purchase tracked. Facial recognition everywhere. Biometric IDs becoming your passport to normal life. Microchip implants, real and functioning in Europe and Asia right now. Each system alone looks convenient. Together, they're the framework for total control. One global crisis. One voice promising order. And the world could accept what John saw 2,000 years ago. We're not heading toward that world. We're building it today. But while humanity builds systems of control, heaven is preparing a return. Jesus warned, "Stay alert, because you don't know when your Lord is coming." He said life would continue normally, people buying, selling, building, completely unaware. Then suddenly, the Lord himself will descend from heaven with a shout, with a trumpet of God. No camera will capture it. The sky will open. And the King returns. Not as the suffering servant, but as the Lion of Judah. Eyes like fire, wearing many crowns. Zechariah saw it. His feet will stand on the Mount of Olives, and the mountain will split in two. The earth itself will witness his return. Every kingdom will fall silent. Every false power will crumble. And the one who was promised takes his throne. When Christ returns, the war of ages ends. Human kingdoms are replaced by God's kingdom. John wrote, "They reigned with Christ for 1,000 years." Isaiah described it, "They will beat their swords into farm tools. Nation will not fight nation anymore." For 1,000 years, Christ reigns from Jerusalem. Deserts bloom. Rivers run clear. The lion and lamb lie down together. The city of conflict becomes the center of peace. The temple becomes a dwelling place of glory. And when those 1,000 years end, John saw a new heaven and a new earth. Creation itself renewed. Death, pain, and time losing their power. The old world fades. The eternal one begins. All the signs are in place. Jerusalem returned, 1967, temple being prepared, happening now, military alliances formed, Russia, Iran, Turkey, digital control systems, being built today, the deception ready, waiting for its moment. The prophets saw it from afar. We're living it now. This isn't progress, it's prophecy fulfilled. The question isn't when. It's where do you stand? Truth or lies? Fading kingdoms or the eternal kingdom? The countdown is already running. If you see the signs, you've been called to choose. Not in fear but in faith. Before the trumpet sounds, declare it now, "I am faithful to Christ until the end." Let that anchor you when deception masquerades as peace. Your light when darkness falls. This story doesn't end in darkness, it ends in glory. The same ground that held the cross will witness the crown. Jerusalem is stirring. The King is coming. The signs aren't coming. They're here. The countdown has begun.